You should hear what keeps him up at night.
This is what keeps me up at night. I don't understand how my fellow Americans, I don't even understand how this election is close. And yes, I'm voting for you, but I would also vote for that wall over there.
Well, he's half right. We do need a wall. You know, to keep out gang members, fentanyl dealers, human traffickers, and Anna Navarro. What's funny, though, is that Stern actually thought that was a compliment. Stern has become such a wussified sycophant, he doesn't realize that telling Kamala that he'd vote for a wall is telling her that he knows she's as dumb as one.
Howard Stern built his fame on being bold, rebellious, and challenging the rules. But when Greg Gutfeld criticized him, Stern had no response. No witty comebacks. Nothing. The silence spoke louder than words in a surprising live moment. Gutfeld didn't just highlight Stern's changes, he accused him of giving up his rebellious ways. The former rule breaker had become part of the system, and Gutfeld called it out. What happens when a fearless icon loses his edge?
Celebs at a fancy restaurant, exhausting. Exhausting. Like he finished the overnight shift in a coal mine. Or hearing Kat talk about her pets.
Fair.
But I get it, life is tough, especially when you've been cut off from the world for 2 years in a $20 million beach house. I mean, you have no idea how tiring it is walking all the way from the wine cellar to the tennis court and back.
Some TV moments come and go, but others leave a lasting mark, unforgettable and loud. The recent face-off between Greg Gutfeld and Howard Stern on live TV was one of those moments. It wasn't just an argument. It was a clash of two cultural forces. Two big names from completely different worlds collided, and only one walked away still looking relevant. Howard Stern has been known for years as the king of all media.
Brave to take this stance after you've made $400 million not being woke, right? Loving Donald Trump, exploiting the mentally ill, wearing blackface. Look at the crop of woke comics, whether it's Stern or Jimmy Kimmel, his BFF, Sarah Silverman, Joy Behar, Michael Ian Black. What do they all have in common? They wore blackface. And then they went woke. It's not a chicken or egg thing there. You know what order it came. So I call this BFR, it's blackface reparations. There's nothing in Stern's previous career that could withstand this modern witch hunt that he now embraces. So this is a form of restitution. Maybe he says, if I'm woke too, the crocodile will eat me last, but they always do eat. But I get it. He flipped from populist to elitist because now he's with elitists.
Once a trailblazer in shock radio, Stern built his career by doing things no one else dared to try. He was bold, unfiltered, and the voice of a generation tired of playing by the rules. People either loved him or couldn't stand him, but no, one could ignore him. But being a rebel for too long can wear down the sharp edge. Over time, Stern has slowly transformed into something very different.
I thank God for Howard Stern because he does make me feel normal by comparison. Because I'm like the fox recluse. I don't do anything. I don't go anywhere. But he makes me look like, Pete Davidson on a...
Yeah, he's a germaphobe. Like, his wife rescues cats. That's her job, apparently, her thing. But you can get toxoplasmosis.
That's true.
Cryptosporidiosis.
AIDS.
And
no, you can't.
You can't get. But you can get.
I mean, what are the chances I get that again?
Like a lot of diarrhea.
From a loud outsider to a calm celebrity interviewer mingling with Hollywood's elite, today's Howard Stern seems more like a polished host than the fiery personality he once was. Greg Gutfeld saw this as a weakness, an obvious flaw in the once impenetrable image. Gutfeld, despite criticism, is skilled at confrontations. He's part political critic, part late-night comedian, and part provocateur. His show thrives on challenging big names and stirring debates. So, when Stern was mentioned on Gutfeld's show, it quickly escalated. Gutfeld didn't just question Stern's changes, he tore them apart. He criticized Stern for abandoning his bold roots and becoming part of the mainstream establishment.
Radio show, Howard Stern defended wokeism, saying it's a compliment when someone calls him woke. Listen.
If woke means I can't get behind Trump, which is what I think it means, or that I support people who want to be transgender, or I'm for the vaccine. Well, dude.
Let's be clear, this wasn't a casual remark. Gutfeld went all in, presenting Stern not as a legend but as a warning. His message was simple. Howard Stern, once fearless and rebellious, had become the very thing he once opposed. In Gutfeld's view, the worst thing you can do is sell out, tone it down, and join the system you once fought against. Gutfeld didn't yell or rant. He delivered his points with precision, like a skilled surgeon. He compared the old Stern, wild and daring, to the new, polished version who now mingles with the same celebrities he once criticized. It was a quiet but sharp critique, unraveling a legacy built on rebellion but now leaning into respectability. The irony was clear. Stern, who once mocked phoniness, now seemed to wear it himself. Gutfeld didn't exaggerate. He just laid out the transformation, and the symbolism hit hard. The man who once rejected the red carpet now seemed to embrace it.
Long, it explains a lot of things, like how you forget how other people live, especially in hard times like a pandemic. For the longest time, 2 years in fact, the same time Stern's been AWOL, I wondered where he went. Not physically, but mentally. I bet you did too. Remember his screeds about COVID? They were epic and angry, and not to mention wrong.
When are we going to stop putting up with the idiots in this country and just say, it's mandatory to get vaccinated? F them, their freedom. I want my...
Stern, who once wore defiance proudly, now seemed focused on gaining approval, whether from Hollywood, corporations, or the mainstream. The context made Gutfeld's critique even sharper. His show thrives on challenging big names and tearing down sacred cows, so his focus on Stern wasn't just a celebrity. Feud felt like a deeper commentary. Gutfeld accused Stern of losing his edge, not just personally but philosophically. And Stern had no comeback, no clever retorts, just silence. Gutfeld didn't need a loud victory. The clarity of his point was enough. Viewers immediately picked up on the truth behind his words. Stern, who once called out others, was now the one being scrutinized. The moment wasn't loud or dramatic, it was sharp, precise, and deeply resonant for anyone who's seen a bold voice grow quiet over time. The difference between them couldn't have been clearer.
When I watch them on Saturday Night Live with the where they have Maya Rudolph playing you, I hate it. I don't want you being made fun of.
Oh my God.
There's too much at stake. I believe the entire future of this country right now, as America, land of the free, home of the brave, I think it's literally on the line.
So a guy who's supposed to be funny for a living now claims her candidacy is too important to joke about. This is a guy who once joked right after the Columbine massacre that the killers should have raped the students before killing them. Not that I like that Stern, but this pendulum swing from saying the most tasteless thing in the universe to putting your balls in a Tic Tac container. You gotta wonder what's going on here. It's striking that the king of the most misogynistic humor ever now turns into a breathless over a progressive, hopelessly shallow candidate.
Stern built his legacy during a time when breaking the rules meant facing fines, bans, and angry sponsors, but that resistance made him powerful. Gutfeld, meanwhile, rose in a world of cancel culture, outrage mobs, and social media. He learned to fight back with humor and sarcasm instead of shock value. Their clash wasn't just about personality, it was about two different eras of media. Gutfeld represents a modern rebellion, one that thrives on quick, cutting observations shared online. It wasn't just a debate. It was like a courtroom drama without a judge, just two strong personalities and a huge audience deciding the winner. What made it worse for Stern was Gutfeld's praise for his past. The criticism came from comparing the bold Stern of yesterday to the more subdued Stern of today.
Happy Friday, America! Oh man, tonight is a special night. It's Feminine Friday, where all the panelists are women. Tonight we have Kennedy, Megan McDowell, and Tim, and Janine Garofalo. Long way for a joke. Okay, I hope you had a good week. I did, and no thanks to Howard Stern. True, the New York Post reported that Stern hit a chic restaurant in NYC with a crew of A-listers, including Jimmy Kimmel, Jennifer Aniston, John Hamm, Justin Theroux, Jason Bateman. I was not invited.
The old Stern, Gutfeld hinted, would have criticized the polished version, now hosting satellite radio shows and chatting with celebrities in designer hoodies. That old Stern wouldn't even recognize the man who now debates gently with Hollywood stars. To Gutfeld, Stern had gone from a cultural firestarter to someone too comfortable with the system he once fought against, and once that image was painted, it was hard to see Stern any other way. The response was immediate. Social media lit up with clips and commentary, with fans and critics alike weighing in. The segment went viral, not because of a shocking statement, but because Gutfeld voiced what many former fans had felt for years but never expressed. It also raised a bigger question. Can anyone truly stay rebellious forever?
Stern got even more pathetic, wondering how she doesn't nap.
When you said you don't nap, I get it, because like what you've taken on is extraordinarily difficult. And I mean, do you feel the pressure of the moment in the sense that, like when I met you out in the hall, I said, I'm really nervous because I want this to go well for you. I want it to go well for the country.
Hold on. I need a minute.
Is it unavoidable for every rebel to become part of the system they once fought against? Or worse, do they start protecting that system once they have a seat at the table? Gutfeld seemed to suggest that Stern's problem wasn't just that he changed, it was how he changed. It didn't feel like genuine growth, but more like a move to protect his career. The man who once claimed to fear nothing now seems scared of offending anyone. The one who criticized celebrity culture now seemed eager to be accepted by it. To Gutfeld, this wasn't progress, it was giving up. Stern's silence only added to the issue. The man who built a career on quick, sharp responses was suddenly quiet. It seemed, whether true or not, that Stern had no answer, leaving viewers to wonder if, deep down, he agreed with the critique.
This definition of woke, it's if you call someone a know-it-all, you're not complimenting them on the breadth of their knowledge. Yeah. You're saying you don't know as much as you think you know. So yeah, woke doesn't have anything to do with vaccines. What it really means is sort of a slavish devotion to left-wing ideology and then repeating it so you can get social credit.
Right.
That's really what it means.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're smarter than anybody. And he had said in another part of this that because I believe in the science, well, if you believed in the science, you wouldn't be hiding out like Howard Hughes in your mansion.
Fans who once admired Stern's boldness were left questioning where it had gone. It wasn't just that he didn't respond, it was that he seemed unable to. Gutfeld made his point, and Stern didn't react, not out of defiance, but possibly out of uncertainty. In a world where quick reactions are key, Stern's lack of response felt like confirmation of Gutfeld's claims. Meanwhile, Gutfeld continued, calm and confident, knowing his critique had hit its mark. He didn't need to boast. The internet did it for him. Thousands of comments, shares, and reactions spread the moment like wildfire. Gutfeld wasn't just criticizing a celebrity, he was taking on someone who had built a career on doing the same thing. Stern, once known for exposing hypocrisy and ego, now faced the same scrutiny. It wasn't just a media clash, it was a reflection on legacy. Stern's past became the standard he was being measured against, and his fans were some of the harshest judges.
I always hate that argument like, what happened to the old Stern, or what people have changed. That's not what this is about. It's a weird disconnect.
Well, he hasn't changed.
No.
People have been calling him insane for 40 years.
Yeah,
That just used to be, this guy's nuts. And now they're like, oh, we're worried about Howard. He needs help. But I'll tell you though, I'm a little sympathetic because what you said is correct, but I'm also a germaphobe.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just have a smaller apartment. Yes. So,
The entire exchange felt like a critique of the media world itself, showing its gradual decline. Gutfeld's rise wasn't accidental. It was based on the very traits Stern once embodied in filtered humor, bold defiance, and a disregard for safe narratives. While traditional media struggles with self-censorship and corporate control, Gutfeld steps in with raw, fearless commentary that resonates with viewers. He's offering the authenticity Stern once delivered, but where Stern now chooses softer interviews and acceptance, Gutfeld pushes forward with boldness. This wasn't just a clash of personalities, it was a shift in power. It wasn't about politics, it was about authenticity, or at least the appearance of it. On live TV, Gutfeld came across as the more genuine voice, willing to challenge even a legend. Stern, in comparison, seemed tied to a reputation that no longer matched his actions.
Striking that the king of the most misogynistic humor ever now turns into a breathless over a progressive, hopelessly shallow candidate. But maybe that's the explanation. This is Stern's self-imposed penance for subjugating women to demoralizing stunts, capitalizing on desperate females thirsting for attention, even if it's from an oily paddle striking their bare asses.
Whether or not this perception is fair isn't the issue. In media, perception is often reality. The real question is, what happens next? Will Stern find his edge again and prove his critics wrong? Or will he continue down a polished, professional path that's safer but less impactful? And will Gutfeld, unafraid to challenge even the biggest names, become the new face of unfiltered commentary? One thing is certain, a shift has happened. Whether the torch was passed or taken, the exchange between Stern and Gutfeld was more than just a media moment. It marked a cultural change. It was a reckoning for a man who once defined what it meant to be bold. And no matter how you feel about either of them, it was clear that something had changed. That's what happens when a king is called out by the jester.